Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Desi May, and in this video I decided to step out the house and go to this little cafe to write about things that were just stuck in my head. I could not get them out. So first I had a little sandwich, got me something to drink. The Weeknd's album been popping, so I had to play some of that while I was writing to get me in the zone. But honestly, being stuck in your head is one of the worst feelings ever, just because nobody can see it. It's basically invisible. So you're just there in this pond, this ocean, whatever size water landmass, just drowning in these never ending thoughts, seem like. And so I decided that, hey, I'm going to get out the house, because sometimes the house or wherever you're in, wherever space you're in that you're familiar with, feels very smothering. It feels very closed in, like a box. So I wanted to take some time to listen to my body and try to see what she's talking about, because baby girl got me full, got me bloated with all these thoughts in my head. But yeah, I wanted to do better at listening to myself and also listen to my body. Shouts out to my therapist, for real, because if you're like me, I intellectualize my emotions, intellectualize my feelings. And though it's a good feeling to have, because you're like, oh, I feel this way, and you see all the moving parts, you're actually negating your body, your body's sensor and gauge of actually feeling that emotion. So yes, it's great that you know where your emotions are coming from, but you're not letting your body process it. And so you're kind of backing up your body, your nervous system. And so that is a goal of mine, to work on that. And to work on that, I'm trying to write out my thoughts. I just want to go back to the song I have on loop, and that's Baptized in Fear. And I feel that sometimes when we're in our head, it can feel like we're drowning, going back to that analogy. But you also feel stuck, you feel paralyzed, and you feel like you can't do anything. So the reason that song is on repeat is just because of the symbolism for me. Like, whatever the emotion is, you feel just stuck in it, you're frozen. And I wanted to kind of channel that from a creative standpoint, because like I said, the Weeknd's songs, his albums are great. So channeling that, and also channeling what my body is trying to tell me, kind of just puts me in this state that is healthy. So I'm actually carving out the time to let my body take notice of what's going on. And I also have Tate McRae playing too. I can't remember the song. I think it's Revolving Doors. But one verse she says is something about she knows she's an adult, but I need a minute. And I feel like when we get older, life don't stop. Like, life just doesn't give way sometimes. And people will say, oh, you're an adult, you should be able to handle this. But little do you know, babe, I was never taught this. And so it's also our responsibility to learn healthy coping mechanisms, because we are the ones living our own life. But yeah, that was like a little side note on my music taste and how that pertains to just how I go about my mental health, and this video of me writing. But honestly, here it is right here, trying to show the verse, because it was really hitting. Like, you need a minute, and life can move very fast, and it's our job to carve out that time, because life is not going to give it to us. Also, another song I have is Moody Girl by Megan Thee Stallion, and it really put into perspective from a, I want to say, ego or pride standpoint. And what I mean by that is you want to be the strong person. You want to be the person that has it all together. However, if you don't have healthy boundaries or coping mechanisms or a healthy system or support team handling all that stress or just handling anything can be very difficult. And just with like the history, I guess, of Megan Thee Stallion and her image as the hot girl in this song is like, yes, I'm a hot girl, but hot girl is Moody Girl too. And so it is a great song for me because I'm like, I'm trying to be the strong sister, the strong partner, the strong daughter, like, but I'm like freaking out on the inside, and it's like hitting my pride and my ego because I'm like, I can't show any weakness, or I'm afraid of asking for help. So that song was like, really comforting and was also relatable in that concept of, being moody and also trying to be strong while also learning how to balance them both actually. And finding that balance comes from taking the time that we carved out for ourselves to actually figure out what's going on. So the topics that I was writing on were about what does beauty look like, or what is beauty, feeling special, being alone, or just being yourself. Also, validation, whether that's external, internal, love, and then also kind of bringing into the context as to why I even decided to come into this cafe to write. And so I just wanted to come in with a few things. So I honestly don't know how long I was in the cafe, but I do know I wrote a good bit. Here are some of the topics, writing it out. And I think on the next part, I decided to do drawing it out because I wanted to like write it, which is, expressing yourself through words. But a part of me also wanted to draw out what I was feeling. And to me, I feel like that brings also a good bit of balance because here I am putting into words to understand what my mind, what my body is trying to say, but also what does that look like? So, using fear for an example, you can say, I was scared, I was shivering, I was frozen, I was crying. Just word, that kind of encapsulates what fear is. But if somebody was to draw a picture of what fear looked like, or could you draw a picture of what fear looked like? What encapsulates that? You may have some dark colors, you may have some scary faces, or just different things that are representative of what fear looks like. So I wanted to do some art, but I was like, let me do some doodling, which is still art, but I wanted to write it out from the logical standpoint, and then from an expressive abstract standpoint, what is my body feeling and what does that look like? So it was honestly very relaxing. There was no thought into it, which is also great because I feel like when it comes to writing, we may feel pressured to have it right, or when we're doodling, we have to worry about, are the colors matching? Is this the next Picasso? It's just very free flowing. And I was happy, to be honest, that I let myself be. At first, initially is redundant. Initially, I was nervous because I was afraid of what my body would tell me. I was afraid of what I would say. Does this make sense? Why is my picture looking like a third grader? But when I really sat with it, I said, this is for me. And that's the most important part. This is for you. This is not for anybody else. It's all about you and it's all for you. And so a goal of mine is to be more myself, to allow myself to be, no matter the context, and to build a stronger support system in myself where I can trust myself to be honest and be vulnerable with what's going on. And sometimes that's hard because we don't want to see those ugly parts. We don't want to see those shadows that we have within ourselves, but we have to, because that's the only way we're going to be able to feel this wholeness of being a good person. And I don't mean good in a moral sense, but good in a healthy sense, because if we're unhealthy, sometimes we can take that out on not only our bodies, but we can take that out on other people. So I wanted to do that for myself. And that's the end of my video. I thank you all for joining, and I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.